Hi there, Rick here. Want to talk a little bit about working in a medium-sized vinyl window company. Well, it was actually Peter's company. Um, so there was probably about 16 workers, okay, um, working in the warehouse. And you have to remember, okay, we're producing about 190 to maybe 220 vinyl windows a day, okay, for a medium-sized company. That was very good, okay. Um, Not only were we making the vinyl windows, but we were making the patio doors, okay, because there was a lot of other companies I knew that, okay, they were smaller size vinyl window companies. Um, they just didn't have the manpower or even the equipment to make the patio doors. So you're making the 5 foot patio doors, the 6 foot, um, the 8 foot, and the 9 foot. Okay. Remember too, the 9 foot patio doors, or even patio doors in general. Okay, they're actually quite expensive. Okay. Um, you buy them at Lowe's or Home Depot. Okay, they're at least about $800 to $900 each. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure even the medium size Peter's company I was working for, they were selling the patio doors for quite a bit of money too. Okay, because you have to remember there's still quite a bit of work that goes into making them. Okay, you have to cut the material. Okay, even handling the glass. Okay, um, handling the glass was not an easy thing because the glass alone, okay, if it's an 8 foot patio door, you're probably lifting up a 80-pound piece of glass, okay, just to put it inside the frame, okay. I remember when the man at our glass station, okay, he had gotten injured, okay, so he couldn't do that work for a while, and they put two ladies, okay, two East Indian ladies on in the glass station to handle the glass. Or 85% of the workers in the warehouse were East Indian, okay. Another reason why I'm making this video, YouTube video too, about the warehouse work is because it's interesting work, okay? I found it interesting seeing the transformation of the manual machines and go into the computerized machines. Seeing AI at work, okay? Um, there's always been a lot of talk on the internet about AI, okay? AI technology, okay? And I would say that if you do have AI technology in your machines, okay, um, it makes the work so much more productive, okay? Um, just seeing these machines work, uh, it's kind of amazing to see these machines work because what you see, okay, is sometimes um, almost like a robot, okay? Um, it will, okay, it'll grab the material, for example, okay? And then it'll come out with these blades and they'll spin around, bzzz, and then they'll start helping, mold the material together or cleaning up the corners, okay? Because a lot of times when you mold corners of vinyl together, okay, there's rough parts that are sticking up. Now you got these special blades that come in and smooth out those edges, okay, and underneath the frame as well, okay, and then they pull back, okay, and then they drop the material. The operator grabs the material, pulls it out, puts in the new material, maybe closes a cover, okay, and he can see through glass, okay, and then the machine does the same thing, okay. Maybe he has to press the green button for it to start and the red button to stop, okay. But it's production work, okay. I think it was a lot harder when the machines were manual, and then after we switched over to the computerized machinery, it sped up production and it probably made work a lot more productive, okay. I still remember there was a technician in the warehouse, okay. He looked after the computerized machines. He would uh, do maintenance on them. If there was any trouble with them, okay, he would have to fix them, okay. I think it was probably very expensive having him around for like 5 days out of the week, okay, 8 hours a day, right? It's 40 hours, right? So I think it was very expensive, but you know, his was a specialty type skill, okay. Um, he had to be able to troubleshoot, okay. He probably had to maybe even go to school to learn how to do this sort of work, okay. Um, how to fix, you know, computerized machinery, okay. I met him. Well, I didn't speak to him personally, but you know, I was sometimes in the office with him, and yeah. Um, so the two women that are on the glass station, okay, this was actually hard work, okay. Like I would have found it hard in that station, okay. Um, and remember too, you know, I considered myself, well, back then or even right now, a healthy, strong man, right? So sometimes they had to pick up the patio door glass and put it in the frame. You're talking about, 80 pounds, okay? Not all the glass was that heavy, okay? But I was talking to one of the ladies working, well, in that station on one of our breaks, okay? And then she showed me, okay, her fingers, even her wrists, okay? They were just kind of like bent out of shape, okay? And you could tell that it was hard for them to work in that station, okay? Because imagine, okay, picking up, well, a lot of heavy stuff for an 8-hour day. And another difficult thing too was, well, during the summertime, a lot of these East Indian workers, okay, they were working like, okay, on top of their 40-hour week, okay, sometimes they were working like between 50 to 70 hours extra of overtime, okay? So sometimes, yeah, you're working what? A 70-hour work week, okay? And all through that time, I noticed that the boss, okay, he wasn't, buying the workers, their supper. I don't think he bought their workers their supper once, okay? And I've been to other, sometimes smaller companies. I could see the boss was buying them, their supper a lot, okay? KFC, pizzas, Subway, good food, okay? And this was a medium-sized company, and they were, well, they're making lots of money, but still the boss, and I would say the responsibility probably fell on the manager too, okay? He wasn't, buying the workers their supper. Remember, you're making them work through their supper time, okay? There may be, what is it? Well, I think maybe they had already packed, extra lunch, because they knew that they're likely probably going to be working overtime. And another thing too, Peter would come down from the office upstairs and he would ask, well, who wanted to work the overtime, okay? He didn't actually, put the whip to you and say, you have to work overtime, right? Because it's, it's the worker's decision whether or not, they want to work the overtime. Because remember, I would say that the work is still as dangerous, okay? Because you're operating machines sometimes with spinning blades, okay? Or machines that clamp down, okay? Remember Amrique, okay? He had almost lost his finger from this knuckle down, okay? Because he stuck his finger into the machine, it clamped down, it broke his knuckle, okay? And just a little bit of skin was holding the finger together. Lucky the boss took him to the emergency. They were able to attach his finger back so he didn't have to lose a finger, okay? It doesn't look really good sometimes, when you go out, okay? And, people are just, wow, like, I mean, sometimes looking at your hand, you're missing a finger, right? Like, sometimes I think, they think to themselves, what happened there? Was this person born without a finger, or, did they just lose in an accident, right? And, well, believe it or not, your fingers on your hand are very important, okay? Um, you need all 10 fingers on your hand to do, well, a lot of different things. And, you know, say for instance, you're learning even a musical instrument, for example, right? You're missing a finger, right? It's a lot harder to do something sometimes. I tip my hat off to these workers that were working in the warehouse. Okay, like these East Indian workers, they're a lot of them, had a good attitude too. Okay, and they're hard workers. Okay, um, I respected that. They would work sometimes a 70-hour work week, and even some of the installers were talking about it too. Okay, some of the workers I was talking to, just saying how they respected their hard work, because they knew that, okay, if they didn't put in like a 70-hour work week, or was it 60-hour work week, when it came time to doing their work, okay, they would not have any work to do, just because the company could not keep up production and keep four full-time installing crews, contractors, busy. Okay, because remember, they're picking up the windows, the patio doors early in the morning. They're lining up, okay, by the bay doors, okay, and this is already sometimes 7:30, 7:15, okay, in the morning, okay, and they plan to basically a lot of times try to be loaded up by about 8 a.m. because they still have to they still have to drive out to wherever they're going to around the city, right? And then, well, they meet the customer. Um, the workers, well, they unload all the equipment, okay, unload all the windows, and then they start installing the windows and the patio doors on the homes, okay. Um, so actually, quite a bit of planning, okay, goes into these jobs, okay. And I sometimes used to, well, get really angry at my workers when, okay, they wouldn't show up to work, okay. It wasn't because they were sick; they were just being irresponsible, okay. Um, because I had scheduled a job with a customer, okay. I had picked up the windows, the patio doors, okay. Got everything I needed for that day, okay. Now um, I was without a worker, okay. And sometimes I would only, well, actually a lot of times, sometimes I would only, well, have one worker show up, and the two of us would do the job together, okay. So I'm at the customer's home maybe, okay, and I'm by myself, okay. It's just a lot harder to install these windows by yourself, okay. And well, believe it or not, and when that happens to me, okay, I start thinking, um, do I really want to, keep this worker around anymore, okay? Because I know some other bosses, other contractors in the industry, they just get rid of their worker just like that, okay? Um, they don't. Sometimes they don't even bother to call them back, okay? Or they call them back, they say, okay, you're fired, okay? Didn't call in, didn't show up to work, okay? Just plain simple, you're fired, okay? Sometimes, a lot of times my worker done that to me, and well, I never got rid of them, okay? But I always felt too that these were the workers that nobody really wanted to hire, okay? Um, if they lost their job working for me, okay, they wouldn't be working for the next few years, okay? Because it did happen to one of my workers, okay? I felt that he was kind of irresponsible a bit. I got rid of him, okay? He was calling me every 4 months, just talking, sometimes asking, for work. And I said no, okay? Finally, I told him stop calling, but, he didn't do anything for 2 years, okay? Um, he was, well, I knew that he was on welfare, okay? You have to remember, a lot of these people that are on welfare too, um, they're just very different people, okay? You would have to work with them to kind of like understand them better, okay? Um, you could tell that, okay, they don't put their mind into their work, okay? Um, they're not able to pick up things, okay? You show them how to do something, they don't remember it, okay? Next day they've already forgotten what you showed them. So their IQ level is, well, like, I mean, it's not even average. That's actually probably below average, okay? I wouldn't be surprised, a lot of them, they don't really know how to read or write that well. Maybe even, they don't even know how to read or write at all. And, I can understand if you're from another country, but, they were born in the country, okay? So, they either dropped out of school when, I don't know, they were in grade 4 or something, or, they just didn't pay attention in class, right? You know, um, Teacher would show them something or try to be teaching something, their mind would be somewhere else, right? They wouldn't do the homework, okay? Um, you ask them uh, to do a class project or something, right? They wouldn't even do it, right? So I remember in the warehouse one time, okay? I thought that this contractor was kind of immature a bit. He was actually the one that I had to go out to fix his job, once a week for 8 hours a day. He had come one morning, okay, and a lot of times too, okay, the workers are in the early mornings. They're struggling to get the orders out because they're doing so many, okay, and he was he was swearing downstairs, okay, by the bay door because you know he was angry because um, he was trying to get his order, okay, and he was shouting and complaining that he had 3-4 workers to pay. They're just standing around, okay. He was saying that it's not once in a while, it's almost every single day, okay. And so I was working in my station in the warehouse. I could hear him swearing by the bay door, okay. I'm pretty sure a lot of the East Indian workers was understanding what he was saying, okay. And they don't like it, okay. You have to remember, these are the people that are working 70 hours a week, okay, 140 hours, okay, in a 2-week period sometimes, okay. They're really tired. You even look on. I was talking to one of the other workers, okay, on the installing crew. He said, "Wow, the workers in the warehouse, I know that they're working really hard, and they look really tired." And they're just saying that they respected how hard they are working, right? But Peter, the manager, called Dennis upstairs to have a talk with him, and I just happened to be upstairs a bit too. I overheard some of the conversation. He was just saying, if you have a problem with the workers, downstairs in the warehouse, not to take it out on them. You come upstairs and talk to me, the manager, in the office, okay? If I was, one of the East Indian workers, and I understood what he said, I would, I wouldn't think that highly of Dennis, right? I would think that, he was kind of selfish a bit and, kind of an idiot, basically, yeah. Um, Remember, I'm working 70 hours a week, okay? I don't have to work the overtime, but I'm working the overtime, okay? I'm working through my dinner time, okay? Maybe I'm missing, dinner at home with my family, right? I'd rather be at home with my family um, than, at the warehouse, making these vinyl windows. I've already put in 8 hours during the day. And another thing too, it's not that easy working in the warehouse too. Like I told you about the glass station. A lot of times you're around machinery, okay, that have a high-pitched sound, okay. Even when I was working in the warehouse, I noticed sometimes when I was finishing my 8-hour shift, I had a headache. The reason why is because you're listening to that high pitched sound all day, and well, it just goes into your head, right? And it's giving you a headache. And I noticed other workers too. They were having headaches too because I could see that they were taking Tylenol. Okay, I saw their pill bottles. Okay, because they were getting headaches too. Okay, and you can wear the earmuffs. Okay, I was wearing them sometimes too. Okay, but sometimes too it's just uncomfortable. And maybe too, okay, you're in a station where you need to communicate with one of your coworkers a lot. Okay, you got the earmuffs on, you're always pulling it down, pulling it up, pulling it down, pulling it up, right? It's just annoying. And then um, you just don't bother wearing it. But I know that a lot of the workers in the warehouse were only getting paid minimum wage. Okay, um, it was only during Christmas time the boss would order lots of food for the workers. Okay, uh, a lot of times too. Okay, this was especially when times when the workers weren't working overtime pay. I don't know why the boss was doing this. Okay, but he was coming down almost like every single day. Okay, this was not during overtime. Um, days of work. Okay, and he was just complaining how they had closed up. Okay, their station. Okay, and they're waiting by the door maybe 10 to 4. Okay, to go home. Okay, because they had to wait until the time clock. What was it? The time clock. Okay, because you would have to click in on the time clock with your time card. Okay, um, so you wouldn't be able to leave. Okay, and he was complaining to the workers that they were doing, he was losing, 10 minutes, sometimes even 5 minutes. And you couldn't time yourself perfectly a lot of times, right to the minute, okay, or even 5 minutes. Um, because a lot of times, okay, the workers at a certain time, they had to shut their station down, okay, shut their machinery down. They had to clean their machinery, okay, because it got dirty a lot during the 8-hour day making the vinyl windows. And okay, so after they finish, clean the machine, clean themselves off too, okay, because sometimes they're covered in vinyl. Uh, Vinyl window particles, okay, the white vinyl particles on their skin, okay, on their face, okay. I remember seeing one of the workers while she was helping another worker because she got a piece of vinyl, I think, in the eye, and then she was in the washroom, and then the worker was trying to help her out, okay. And I thought to myself, okay, because I was the service guy, okay. They kind of made me the main service guy at the company, and I decided, okay, I'll buy a eye wash station, okay, um, one of those eye wash bottles, okay. If you get something in your eye, okay, and I attached it to the wall in the warehouse, okay, and I told the workers about it, how to use it, and things like that too, okay. So they liked me in the warehouse because I was doing some things to, make the warehouse better, okay? Make the safety conditions better for them working in the warehouse, okay? Um, some of the workers knew that I wore a back brace, okay? And one of the workers was asking me, Rick, can you get a back brace for me too, okay? And, I was getting, some back braces for some of the workers in the warehouse. I got one for the worker that was working on the glass station. Okay, he really appreciated it. Okay, the second year or third year. Okay, if you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, okay, your back is starting to get sore now. Okay, because remember, you're doing this for full-time work now. I've seen a lot of guys, even big, strong guys. Okay, they do it for maybe 2 years or 3 years, and they realize, gee, I don't really like doing this anymore. I've seen that happen to a lot of big, strong guys. They just they just couldn't hack it anymore. They just didn't like doing the work anymore. Okay. When I was doing a lot too during full time, I would have to go to the physio after work sometimes. Okay, and sometimes I start going to an acupressure doctor, and he would actually massage my muscles for a good hour, okay? I would feel good for the rest of the week, okay? I remember showing up to work, and then, my coworker was complaining about, you know, um, sore muscles or a sore back, okay? And then, I felt great, okay? Um, my worker too, okay? My coworker was an alcoholic too, okay? And, I knew that he was broke a lot. I didn't even bother to mention to him that, I was seeing a physio or acupressure doctor. I felt that the foreman in the warehouse was getting kind of unbearable to work with, okay, in the warehouse. You have to remember, when you work in the warehouse, you're working 100 miles an hour, right? And then, she would come to my station and, say how, um, oh, Rick, I feel that, you're kind of slow. You're not working fast enough. You should be finished, this. And then I would, sometimes, well, when she'd come to my station, I'd say, I have to get a load of vinyl off the shelf there, okay, off the rack, give me a hand. And, she would give me a hand sometimes. Well, yeah, she would give me a hand, okay. And, especially when she would come to, after a while, she'd come to complain to me, okay. And then, I asked her to give me a hand, okay. And, she would just walk away, okay. Because she didn't want to lift up something heavy, okay, off the shelf and to give me a hand to bring it to my station, okay. And, so I was arguing with her a bit, okay, and I got called up to the office, okay, and I said to Peter, I said, okay, I'm working really hard, really fast, okay, and she's coming to complain about me in my station, okay. I asked her to, give me a hand, to take something off the shelf to bring it to my station. She doesn't help, okay, she just walks away, okay, because she doesn't want to do the work. She doesn't want to lift up anything heavy, okay. And her name was Randy, okay. And so I was saying to Peter too, her mouth moves more than work, okay. And I think she, he told Randy, what I said, right? And yeah, I just went back to my station to do my work again, right? He knew that I was working hard at my station, right? And well, he could have, well, fired me too, right? But kind of stupid to do that because I was their main service guy, and I worked hard in the warehouse, okay. You have to remember too, okay, you're also getting paid very low wage, okay, minimum wage to do this work, okay. I've seen a lot of people come and go in the warehouse too, okay. Some people, okay, they come in, they do it for, I don't know, a week or even 2 weeks, and they realize, I don't like doing this work, and you have to remember, they're only getting paid minimum wage too, okay. And some of the work is skilled work too, okay. It takes a little bit of time to pick up the skill, what you're doing in some stations, okay. Some people in some stations, that's all they're doing. They're putting locks on the windows, okay, and they're using the screw gun to screw these locks in, okay. They're doing that all day, okay. So sometimes it can be really boring because when you do something repetitious, okay, because it's so boring, okay, time is going by so slow, and you're constantly looking at the clock, when's the next coffee break, when's lunch break, right? I think after a while, I was just getting fed up with, well, one of the reasons was, Randy in the warehouse, have to put up with her each day, and starting to look for another vinyl window company to go work for. And I found one, and I told Peter that plan to leave the company within the next 2 weeks. Um, I found another company to go work for, and yeah, he seemed, kind of unhappy. Okay. So after I left, and I started working for this other company for about 8 months, and I saw, well, one of the workers um, from the warehouse that I worked for, in that company, because in our warehouse, the new company I was with, okay, because they also worked for this company before in the past, and I was talking to her. Her name was Farmjeet, and Farmjeet was kind of um, the worker the worker in the warehouse that workers went to, okay, if they had a problem, okay, and she was kind of like the spokesperson for the majority of the workers in the warehouse too, okay. When I bumped into her, well, at my new warehouse, I was just talking to her about how I was unhappy with how Randy was acting in the warehouse, okay, to me, right? And that was one of the main reasons why I left, okay. After about a year and a half after I left, about 7 of the workers in the warehouse, uh, they quit, okay. The main reason was Randy, okay, in the warehouse, how she was treating the workers, okay. They would be working really hard, and she would come up to them and say, why isn't this, and this finished? You're working too slow, okay. You have to remember, some of these workers were, well, like I say, working like 30, 30 hours of overtime a week, okay, sometimes even, well, maybe 20, okay. And you're working 100 miles an hour. A person comes up to you and says something about your work performance, right? How it's no good, okay. Your first reaction would probably, to say something, well, negative, right? Maybe even get mad at Randy, okay. Because I remember I was working, well, uh, in a different station, okay, the Glazen station, and there was a Vietnamese guy in my station, and, well, also an East Indian too, okay, and she came up and started complaining about the work, right, and the Vietnamese guy had a temper tantrum, he started kind of like yelling at her a bit, okay, and you have to remember, okay, you're working really hard, okay, and you're working 100 miles an hour, okay, and you're kind of stressed out, okay. I would say that's the one of the main issues with the workers, okay. They're already stressed out, okay. Now you come up to them and you start complaining about their work, okay. What are they going to do, okay? They're going to throw a temper tantrum, they're going to get upset at you, okay. And that's what Randy was doing to the workers in the warehouse, okay. So, okay, Farmjeet was talking to the uh, to the owner, okay, upstairs in the office, and she was complaining about how Randy was treating them in the warehouse, okay, and I heard that the boss, okay, didn't want to listen to her concerns, okay, which was kind of stupid, I felt, okay, and then Farmjeet said to him, okay, um, said, Wilford, okay, if you're not gonna listen to me, then um, I'm not gonna work for this company anymore, okay, and he basically said, yeah, okay, and then 7 of the workers quit that day, okay, 7, okay, and some of these workers have been, well, with the company since some of these workers have been with the company since the company started up, okay. Um, so they've been with the company for like 7 or 8 years already, okay, which is quite a long time, okay. Well, when I heard that happened, okay, it was the owner of the company that I was with, okay. He told me about that story. That's how I found out about what was going on with that old company that I used to be with, okay. And that, well, the owner was saying to me, he was just saying, gee, what the hell is Wilford doing at his company, okay? Um, You know, because he was kind of shocked to himself that 7 workers quit on one day. Okay, um, you know, working for him. Okay. You have to remember too, you know, when stories of this, sometimes when it gets around, okay, uh, sometimes people avoid going to work for a company like that, okay. Um, I know that a lot of the workers too, okay, they didn't maybe speak that much English too, okay. Um, they were maybe new to the country, okay, from India, okay. Um, but still, you know, they didn't want to work for a company like that. Okay. Um, you know, I didn't really want to work for a company like that. Okay. You know, Peter called me up one time again. Okay. And he was asking me to come back to work for the company, and I said to him no. I, um, I just I just kind of like lost faith uh, with them. I still remember, okay, after leaving the company one time, I guess maybe a year later, I came by to pick up an order. Okay, I made an order off his company, and when I showed up at the warehouse, I saw Randy. Okay, and kind of shocked me a bit because she was really friendly to me for some reason. I don't know why. I think um, maybe the manager or even the owner had a talk with her and said, "Hey, look, you know, you can't treat the workers like this, okay? Um, I'm starting to have a high turnover rate of workers, okay? They're quitting on me, okay? And some of the workers I'm losing are good workers too, okay? And I'm getting somebody in that's replacing those workers, and they're shitty, okay? I don't want them working in the warehouse. They're non-productive, okay? They're doing lousy work. They're not a really good worker, okay? I want my old worker back, but you know, for me to go back and have a talk with them and say, hey, you know, will you come back to work for me for minimum wage, okay, or a little bit more than minimum wage, okay? Um, I don't think he could bring himself to do something like that, right? It was hard for him, okay? So he just had a talk with his foreman, um, uh, you know, in the warehouse, just telling her, you know, treat the workers a little bit better, okay? Because you have to remember, a lot of them, okay, they're only, you know, making minimum wage or a little bit more than minimum wage, okay? Um, they're working the overtime, okay? Of course, they're getting overtime pay, okay? But you know, they're working through their supper time, okay?